Okay, there we go. Um, so yeah, so I'm currently in the process of getting ready to take step one right now. I take step one within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to take step one. I'm pretty confident I'm going to do pretty well on it, so I'm not too concerned about that. But um, with that being said, I started to do these summer courses as well as courses throughout the actual semester to kind of help with anybody who needs additional assistance with the material, right? Or anybody who wants to know more about the material, or anybody who wants to really excel, right? Now with that being said, that doesn't mean you have to go through me. I'm just an option and another resource if you want to use it, right? So I've had plenty of students. I've had in my time with this program with tutoring that have done very well, right? They've excelled. I've done very well with preparing them for even the test that you guys get now, where it's more professor led versus using NBME, right? And that's gonna how it's gonna be moving forward. So with that being said, let me go ahead and go through the package that you have offered to you, right? So let me share my screen. And if any of you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm here for you, right? So please ask away. Does anyone have any questions as of now before we move on? No? I hope everyone did very well on your test. Have you guys gotten your grades back yet? Because I know the Med 2s that had finished, it took them, because they had finished on a Wednesday and they didn't get their test back until Monday, the following week, Monday-ish, Tuesday. Yeah. Good, 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 good. So it was a little quicker turnaround for you guys than it was for them. Nice. All right. So let me go ahead and show you what is offered. Okay. So there's only 7 days that that we're going to meet. And each day we're going to talk about something different. I'm going to be including into it questions. It's all going to be question based with the addition of lecture, right? So it's going to be more of the application plus the understanding that you're going to get. Now, the topics that we cover is only for this first exam, CAS 1. Now, your first exam, CAS 1, is solely just resp and cardio. Okay. Then your CAS 2 is renal. CAS 3 is endo repro, as well as everything you guys have learned throughout the whole year. For instance, when I was teaching or tutoring for the Med 2s for their final test, right? It was 80% was endo repro, 20% was everything that was through the whole year. So that's what you should kind of expect as well, because I don't expect them changing it within the next semester that much. And if they do, that's something that this here will always be the staple, right? They're always going to do cardio. They're always going to do rest. So those two won't ever change no matter what they do. Okay. Now, you can see how I have it broken down that this is the first week that we're in right now. You guys just finished your test. You guys just got your results. I'm very proud of you guys. If you ended up passing, great job. If you ended up not getting as well as you wanted to, but still doing enough to pass, once again, good job. Don't worry about it. One test does not define you. Okay. You can easily improve and do better as you move on, right? So the way it's broken down is next week we have our 2 days a week. Okay. So we're all only going to do cardio at the very beginning for 2 whole weeks. That's 4 sessions of cardio. Okay. And then we have 2 weeks of rest. Now, the way rest is set up, because resp is shorter than cardio. The way resp is set up, we do, sorry, let me add someone. The way resp is set up, we do 3 sessions, right? So 2 sessions will be on the break week 4, which you see here, right? And then you only got 1 session on your move-in week. This is because I don't really want to bombard you with a lot of new material right before you start your semester, right? Because that's kind of too much, right? And it's more of like setting you up for failure, which I don't want to do, right? This this prep course is essentially made to go over the material. So by the time you get to the semester, you've already had seen it, you've already have gone through it with someone, and you've already done questions on it that is not brand new to you, right? So the only thing you have to do at that point in time is just tweak it a little bit. Maybe the professors go in a little bit more in depth on one topic than another. That's fine. There's no rhyme or reason on why they shouldn't, but the topics I'll be covering will be over not only their slides from the previous years, as well as first aid. So the material I'll be covering will be pretty inclusive of all of cardio. So the only things that they may add in or throw in is if there's any like new research findings or a new research article that they had read that they want to explain to you so you know a little bit more. Or maybe they want to explain a concept in a different way so you can see it from a different light, right? But essentially, all the material that you will see during the first semester, first cast, will be all old material, right? So you've already been exposed to it. All right. Does anyone have any questions on that first? About the schedule, about the material we'll be going over, about how the classes are set up. Anyone have any questions on those 3? No? Okay, perfect. So that's how it's set up. Now, from that, you will also get 3 other things. So, or 2 other things essentially. So this here is the welcome letter that you'll get. And in this welcome letter, there's going to be a link that you can use. And when you click on the link, it's going to give you all of the PowerPoints. And I know I saw in your guys' chat already how some people were already posting PowerPoints, and I'm all for that, right? If you have resources, share it with other people because that's essentially going to help everyone, right? It's not going to just help you out. So on this aspect, here's all the slides that you will have throughout the whole semester. Okay, you got CVS, you got RESP, you got renal, you got endo repro located here. Now, within each thing, you also have things like formatives. Now, you guys are not doing as many formatives nowadays because you guys are now doing quizzes, right? But formatives was the previous way that they did kind of an assessment to see how well you were doing, right? Without actually giving you a grade. Now, with that being said, do I think one way is better than the other? I mean, they all got their perks and falls to it, right? Some people may say that the quizzes are very bad because it really hurts their grades, because it's something that they have to focus in on whatever the professor's teaching instead of really studying the material on their own, right? Um, and that's just how it is, right? Everyone's gonna have their kind of take on how this changes that you guys are dealing with. Now, with that being said, these are the formatives for you to go through, and it's broken down where you got questions in one, followed by answers in another. Okay. Now, in all honesty, I don't doubt if they use some of these questions in your quizzes. In all honesty, I don't doubt that. because these quizzes or these formatives were essentially the same thing you guys are doing with the quizzes. Now, with the explanation, it's broken down very completely. You have all the different answer choices explaining why each one is not the right answer. And you also have the one that is the right answer explained why it is the right answer. Okay. So it's very broken down. And at the same time, if you end up having issues with it, you can easily send a message to me and I can help further break it down even more for you. Okay. But this is very complete as is. So I don't see that happening very often, but it is something that can happen. Okay. Now, the other thing that you're going to get is the SGA assignments that we end up getting as well. Now, the SGA assignments, they do change a little bit depending on how they want to teach it, if it's a new professor, if they want to make a whole new SGA assignment. Either way, you have access to it. Now, I do not advocate just grabbing the answers from this and then sending that in and not really doing the assignment. But this is a good way that you can do the assignment on your own, cross-check it, as well as see if there's any new things in the document that you didn't think about, right? That is a really good way that you can maximize on things. Okay, so for instance, this was a pre-work blood thing that you had to do for one of the goals. This was a pre-work on the goals pertaining to goal 12, right? It talks about all the different things. And you can see how it's fairly complete. Like it's broken down very nicely. And even in some of the text, you can see that it's broken down even more. So that's why I'm saying like, this is great for you to look at after you have done it on your own. So you can cross-check with this material. Okay. This is during the semester that you'll be doing that, right? Because before the semester, you're not really going to be doing pre-work. You're not going to be doing lab, like all that stuff, right? So this is only during the semester that you have access to this, to do whatever you wanted to do with it, right? Now, anyone have any questions on that? You guys are pretty good. You're not really saying anything. It's fine. Perfect. I don't have an issue with it. Means I'm pretty thorough. Great. All right. Now, respiratory is the same way. It's the same setup, right? You have it broken down where you have the formatives, the learning materials, the PowerPoints, and the SGAs. No difference here. Okay. So you'll get access to this folder with all of the resources in it. Okay. The other resource you end up getting outside of this is what is known as the pass tracker. So the pass tracker is set up like this. Okay. There we go. So the pass tracker is set up like this. Let me explain this pass tracker. So this pass tracker basically has all your goals preset. Okay. You have all the various lectures that you're going to go over pertaining to cardio, pertaining to respiratory, pertaining to renal, and then finally endocrine and repro, right? It has everything broken down for you. Now the dates you may have to augment and change because of the changes in the dates as general, right? So that is something that you're going to have to do. But outside of that, there's nothing else you're going to have to really augment, right? So this is how you end up using it. So let's say, for instance, I'm doing cardio, right? And we're going to go over all these various goals. With anatomy and embryo, I'm going to zip through them very quickly, right? Because anatomy and embryo is very just, you either know it or you don't, right? So I'm going to focus on the clinical, like significant things. Like these things are really important that you need to make sure you know, right? And then we'll just keep moving on, right? Because the physiology is the part that a lot of people get tripped up on, because the physiology is a lot of understanding. You have to understand things. You have to be able to manipulate. You got to be able to understand what the question is being even asked of you, right? And that's something that you guys have already been exposed to, especially when you guys had neuro. That type of mentality in neuro and those type of questions in neuro is what you're going to see all throughout this med. Okay, you're going to see a lot of physiology type questions. Now, with clinical things thrown in there. So with that being said, a lot of these things on the first week, we're not really going to touch too hard on. I'm going to zip through them on the first day. Day 2 is when we really get into the nitty-gritty stuff with the physiology, right? That's when we go into like the cardiac physiology. We go into ECGs, we go into like the cycle. We will talk about how do you calculate various cardiac parameters like stroke volume, cardiac output, things like that, right? Ejection fractions, we'll talk about those things. And then throughout the last 2 sessions, we're going to kind of tie it all together with finishing off the kind of extra things like the venous return, the kind of HMP shunt with the cardiac aspects of things, and the special circulations and stuff like that. So those things will also come into play, and we'll talk about those guys. But the bulk of it, right, is the physiology. Now, with respiratory, it's the same concept, right? The first day, and you can see how short it is, right? It's so much shorter than cardio. Cardio, you got 4 weeks. Rest, you got 2 weeks or 3, pretty much, right? Now, first week, we're going to basically talk about the anatomy, right? The first session. Second session into the third session, we're going to focus solely on physiology of the respiratory system. And that will tie it all in a nice bow, and you'll be done for this first cast. Okay, does anyone have any questions about that? No? Pretty good? All right, perfect. Okay, so now that we continue, over to the side, you also have the corresponding Boards and Beyond video that's oriented with these various goals. Okay, now my advice to you is to watch these videos before you come to the sessions that I'm going to discuss. You'll have access to a Boards and Beyond for free that comes with the package. So you won't have to worry about buying that additional Boards and Beyond. With that being said, it's going to be a group of people using this single Boards and Beyond instead of just one individual person. So if you like to have your own Boards and Beyond, then that's fine. You can do that on your own. There's no restrictions that you have to use the one that is given to you, but you will have access to that. Okay, to go over the videos pertaining to the anatomy, all these things that you'll have broken down for you for the actual session. Okay, you'll also get the lectures, PowerPoints before the session, so you can see what all we're going to talk about, what all goals we're going to reach, and you can then make notes on it over the videos that you go over. Now, I will update that PowerPoint after we have our session, so you have my notes. So you don't have to really focus so much on writing down notes during our session pertaining to actually understanding the material. Like that's your goal going through these few weeks, is to essentially understand what's going on. So then when you start the semester, you already understand how the lungs work. You already understand how the heart works. So it's more of, okay, what's the minor details that the professor is stressing about that maybe he didn't stress about, that the professor may write a question about, right? That you'll really have to worry about at that point in time. Okay, good. Now, That's pretty much how the whole program is set up. Does anyone have any questions about the program? Let me open up the chat so I can see. No. Okay. No one has any questions about the program. All right. Good. So with that being said now, the day that we'll meet is up in the air. We can decide it after we have the people who want to actually do this program, right? So I'll discuss with those individuals. We'll figure out what time is best. Usually after 5 is what people choose, which is fine. I have no issues you doing something after 5. I have no issues doing something before 5. Um, depending on the day, of course, right? Right now I'm rotating or kind of shadowing in some doctor's offices right now, pending step 1. So some days we'll have to figure things out, but that's something, the minor details we can figure out later, right? All these videos will be recorded and you will have access to the recordings even throughout the semester. Okay. So you could use that as your way to prep for that class, right? And we're going to cover so many goals in one video, right? Each session is 2 hours. Okay. So that's kind of how it's broken down. Now, pertaining to the pricing of this program, so each session is about $20. Okay. You can buy each session by themselves if you wanted to. So you can buy each session by themselves if you wanted to, or you can buy the package as a whole, which is set at a discounted price, right? Because we have 7 sessions, so essentially that's 140. But given the discount, if you buy them all in a package, it would be 120 versus 140. And once again, this is all the material that we'd be going over throughout that first cast that you have. Okay. Now, with that being said, I understand how finances is rough. I completely understand. I completely understand also how a lot of students are waiting on that financial aid to come in before they can really do anything. With that being said, I do have extra options where you could use some of the financial aid money that you get on later on down the line to pay for this program if that's something that you want to do. Just message me, but like on WhatsApp, and we can talk one-on-one about that process. It's a little different, but I'm completely flexible with with that. We can also do payment plans if you want to do that instead. So there's no set thing when it comes to the price. We can talk it out. We'll figure things out, right? The only thing is I can't essentially give this for free. Okay. The reason why is a few things. One, the people who are paying, it's not fair to them. Okay. Two, I personally have time that I have to put into this as well. And I do have family who depend on me to support them, right? So I do need to make some kind of money. I'm not trying to gouge you guys out though, right? Now, with that being said, um, it's completely flexible, right? This whole program is. Just talk to me and we'll figure it all out. If you want to just say, I just want to work on the rest, then we can just do the rest stuff for you. So then that'll be an even lower price for you. If you're like, I just want to do the cardio, then you will just do the cardio, and that's how it'll be, right? So the price isn't set in stone. It's more of a conversation between me and you to figure out what you want and what I can provide to you. Okay, good. Does anyone have any questions on that? No? So it's a very straightforward, direct message for you guys. No issues. Hopefully I didn't put you guys to sleep. Okay. So that's it. I don't really have anything extra to say. If you have any questions you want to ask me pertaining to Med 2, I'm completely open to it right now. Um, I know I set it down for about an hour, but at the same time, I knew we weren't going to do a whole hour because it doesn't take that long to discuss the program, right? And this recording will also be in the WhatsApp um, group that I've made pertaining to the summer prep program for Med 2. Okay. All right. Sounds good then. All right. And then I think the last thing I wanted to say was that if you also wanted to think about doing Anki, if that was something you were debating on, but you had issues getting it started, that is also something I can help with you guys on. And we can sit down and do like a free, just one session, about an hour to two, where we discuss Anki, and I can walk you through how I use Anki, how I capitalize on it. A lot of people use this same way, and it's proven to help and work with memorizing things, right? Because it's more of outside of understanding. You have to then memorize the details as well, especially when it comes to equations. You have to memorize that cardiac output is stroke volume times heart rate, right? Like that's not something you can really reason through. Um, so that's kind of how it's broken down. But I'm happy that you guys came to come to the kind of unveiling of this program. And I'm here if you have any questions. You guys can leave if you want. I'm going to stop the recording at this point in time. Or if you have any questions, you can ask now as well. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Let's pause and let's record.